Hello, oh my God, Dynamite. Well, this Sunday is Double or Nothing, May 25th. Also, the first pay per view for Dynamite. Overall, the second pay per view this year for Dynamite. In February, we had Revolution. Before we actually heard of a pandemic. So, in this thing, oh wow, how a year changes. We have a new wrestling company and a big channel, and it's going to be grossing a lot of money. And over what I've been seeing, of course, there's flaws. There's always pros and cons in a TV show and how it can even build up consistently. First, I think it's a bit too. They stall a bit too much with coherent storylines. The tag team wrestling could be hit or miss depending on the type of style you like. I feel like it gets indie-rific at times on the certain tag teams that face off, and their story and they'll be inconsistent. Like remember Brandy's faction, and it's barely coherent at times because every time Cody has a feud, Brandy's involved as a supportive emotional piece, and then we forget that she's part of some dangerous heelish faction. And then after what Lance Archer did to Brandy last week on Dynamite, and literally, I'm being as mature as possible. Jake the Snake Roberts putting his you wanna play 21, his huge snake on Brandy's. Bro, I don't think there's ever gonna be a time I'm not gonna be immature. So that's the most you're gonna get from me tonight. But still, yeah. So after the vigorous assault, after Jake Roberts came around with the promo with Lance Archer, practically going over that Cody's gonna lose. Of course, who would come out? The husband. Why didn't he come out after beating Joey Janela earlier in the show? Don't know what else he was doing. It's not like he was beaten up backstage before Brandy would come out. That would be completely stupid. So that was kind of dumb in their part. But the most emotional standard that if Cody wins, because he has so much on the line, he already lost against MJF on Revolution, and having an upset loss here for another championship opportunity on another pay-per-view match, imagine how that's already going to sell them off. There's already dumbness that involves like guys with crappy win-loss percentages still having TV time, like Joey Janela, as we haven't seen him in weeks, and he had that blow-off feud that wasn't pay-per-view style, even though it actually went over a real thing with a real relationship. Like he was with her since like the time when they were like shipping off AEW to be on TNT. And now she's with Kip Sabian. They didn't go further on that storyline. They just had this blow off match on an episode of Dynamite on I think January. But it was cool though. Well, Mike Tyson on Double or Nothing, so I guess that will be something to get excited for. I and he's also going to be back in action. Shockingly, thought Jake the Snake's promo was right. I still liked his greatest promo I've ever seen. I'm young. I haven't seen Jake the Snake Roberts when he was like WrestleMania 1 or his earlier stuff. But I understand that he's a great promo, and it was displayed the first time I saw him on Dynamite. Now, I saw him in Old School Raw, I saw him in all these reunion shit. But this time he's a manager, and for a good talker and intimidating figure like Jake the Snake Roberts, having him for such a intimidating guy like Lance Archer, that obviously is adult as hell if you haven't seen the shit on New Japan Pro Wrestling with Vance Archer. Yeah, he's adult. He's vicious and he fits that hardcore style perfectly. And with, a guy like the father of Negan from The Walking Dead, obviously works. So, next up we have Jurassic Express facing off against the Best Friends. I think there's going to be a multi-tag team match to see who will be the number one contender for the tag team titles. Involving these tag teams has already really been enough. Most tag teams don't even have number one contender spots, tournaments, or qualifying. Sometimes you'll see SCU win. Sometimes you'll see the Jurassic uh, Jurassic Express win. Sometimes lose because they put Marco Stunt. That's literally the biggest liability other than to get cheap, quick pops because he's short and he's trying to fight. it's funny till you guys lose, and then MJF or Lance Archer beats the ever living piss out of him, and then MJF got intimidated by Jungle Boy or shocked off Jungle Boy when that was displayed as his opponent at his return to AEW after just beating Cody Rhodes. And now there's a babyface champion, so probably they're going to do something in the future with him. Thanks, it takes usually like 2 months until the next pay per view. Next, the match was okay. Simple stuff. I think there was some kind of suicide dive by Orange Cassidy later on the match. Super kick. I think it was off he did the same thing with, so, they used to call it Roppongi Vice or some Roppongi Vice, some kind of drop kick into a pile driver. Best Friends did win, and then Wardlow beat the shit out of Marco Stunt. The match was fun. But it didn't tell much of a story. I thought they were still fighting with a triangle of pain or whatever the hell Pac and the Lucha Bros call themselves. Phoenix did come out of nowhere, I think, in another match and beat the crap out of Marco Stunt or Jungle Boy. But I think that was when they were feuding with the Best Friends, not Jurassic Express. We had a fatal 4-way match to see who will be facing off against Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's title in an underwhelming women's division. This is pretty good, fun, fast-paced wrestling, and I will never disrespect these women. These guys could actually wrestle the hell out of each other. They have good clinics, and they don't exaggerate the women's division that as much as WWE does. Even though the title has changed more than the hardcore title back in the '90s. Hikaru Shade won the match. Sorry, Chris Statlander. A counter from the splits from Penelope Ford. That's literally what she's known for. Britt Baker kept doing some submission hold from the outside on, I think, Hikaru. The match was fun. Fun match. Then later on in the night, Nyla Rose hit Hikaru with a kendo stick out of nowhere. Like, you couldn't expect a person to always be like this. Not expecting to beat the crap out of you with anything that they have, whatever they have in their hand at that point. So that's completely on their fault. That's on Hikaru's fault for keeping her guard down. So, yeah. Congrats to Hikaru. Can't wait for the match. I already saw that video of her squatting. That I don't know why she was only without any pants. I mean, you could just do squats with shorts or something. I don't know why. It looked like I was watching her goddamn camel toe the entire time. But the match was fine. Matt Hardy, Kenny Omega versus Santana and Ortiz. I was about to think to my mind, oh my god, it's LAX versus him? No, it's just Ortiz and Santana. If you don't know LAX, this was like a resurgence to LAX with Conan still as the mouthpiece. But new Latinos in Santana and Ortiz, a tag team from the Indies. They won the tag. They broke, I think, the longest reigning. They had a long reign with the tag titles until the North broke it. They're still the longest reigning champions on an Impact to this day, and yet they're practically just the heavy hitters in the tag division for AEW, or it's just going to be less sexy with Jericho and Sammy Guevara anytime that if Jericho needs a win or something. Bicycle kick, a super kick. I think there was a bicycle knee by Omega to stop a pin. It just felt like the sake of just kicking people in the match. Matt just ripping off Hardy Boys moves. Obviously, the commentary was rarely there, except sometimes Jim Ross, because of course, nostalgia hits you as hard as it can. Excalibur barely brings up his 2 cents in it. I don't mind Tony Giovanni. Taz is just there just to harass Darby Allin. You lost, dude. You suck. You suck. Just what's gonna happen now, man? What's gonna happen now? Cause you lost in the tournament. It was a good match, but still, the match was fun. Of course, Omega and Matt would win off a twist of fate. Shocked there was no one-winged angel, but I think there was in the middle of the ramp. The match was a fun, fast-paced thrill ride. Ortiz, of course, was funny selling. Good spots and decent chemistry off both Omega and Hardy. I thought it was a bit oversaturated. I thought this would end in DQ because, of course, the Inner Circle are the major faction on AEW. But I know Matt Hardy's still feuding with him, probably, and we still have Blood and Guts the next week on Dynamite. But that's lit. Let's just pause that. We got. I can't sing his song because I don't know the lyrics. Wait, there's no lyrics in his music. Okay, MJF returns to in-ring action after I think nearly a month of absence because he suffered an injury in his last match. So he's back on May 13th episode of Dynamite, and he beats Lee Johnson. That's literally the consistent jobber on Dynamite via submission. Does a kip up, shows us his athleticism. We of course had Wardlow giving him his ring, then he kisses it, and then I'm better than you, and you know it. Just a pure douchebaggery. And he's a great promo. If you haven't seen his promo from last week, please, I'm advising you to watch it. This is why this guy is a top of the line talker. He's already good for TV. He's already a top of the line wrestler. If he just gets his, the right guys for him to feud with, and he's not going to be treated inconsistently how WWE does top heels, or at least does top athletes that have good charisma, like they did at EC3, and now the guy completely changed his look, then MJF can be something. Really something. He already boasts how much he's like the youngest guy to do it at the age 24 or 23. The guy, he's a young pro wrestler, and I hope he does well. This Jungle Boy, really, on pay-per-view, I know he's back from injury, so anything that they had for him could be completely scrapped at that point, but still. Pineapple Pete versus Chris Jericho. This was a moment in the making. They were hyping up Pineapple Pete and not taking up Jericho's crap, and he loses via Judas effect. And this is all because Pineapple Pete kind of slapped Jericho in the face. Yeah, that's practically it. It was funny because Jericho makes anything feel like it's must watch because it involves Jericho and his way how to mix in taking him completely seriously with his comedic stride. It's the best part of Dynamite and his later years in WWE. If you don't think so, rewatch the stuff. I'm advising it, but this match had no reason to exist. I just found it funny because, of course, Jericho. That's practically it. And that's even my number one selling point why I wanted to watch AEW, because Chris Jericho was on it. So, yeah. By the way, rest in peace, Vanguard 1. Rest in peace, my man. Rest in peace. We also had earlier in the night, before I get into detail with the match, we of course had Jon Moxley coming into the show, completely poised on getting back his title after Brody Lee took it away at the time he assaulted him after his match against Kazarian the last week on Dynamite, and everybody ganging up on him, especially this big bulky dude that I swear to God, if that's Brian Cage or something, because of course he's not on Impact anymore. I'm going to freak, because having a guy like Brian Cage would be kind of lit. In that aspects. I'm not implying that because you pick up a muscly dude means you're going to get something, but Brian Cage is a great wrestler. I think there's not much of a charisma to him, but it was fun. He's a fun guy watching a match. If you haven't seen this match at Slammiversary, I'm really showing my inner smart here. I usually don't do this. But AEW is like a godsend to watching WWE, and if there was no AEW, I'll be reviewing NXT. No joke. No Impact, no ROH, no nothing else, just NXT. And I hate NXT. Dynamite has its issues on consistency sake, or trying to feel like the win loss record mean anything, but at least they treat their guys like they're top stars, and that's what you need to do in the wrestling business to make sure there's a reason for people to watch, and make sure there's a specific wrestler for fans to actually gush about. So, yeah, even if there's a couple, a quarrel with Le Champion, he was running out a bit too fast and he got the Judas effect, even though he was feeling himself. See you feeling yourself, and it was went as quick as possible. Or as quick as when Jack Swagger was World Heavyweight Champion, and how long for you to forget it, but that's beyond the point. Next up, we had, of course, Christopher Daniels versus Brody Lee one-on-one. Brody Lee came around taking. I didn't even see him grab. I think he did grab the AEW World Title the time he took out Jon Moxley and hit him with the discus lariat and took away the title. Then he came around just presenting it like he's just the original. He's a patented champion. The match that he had with Christopher Daniels, of course, this has everything to do with the teasering of how completely they forgot that they've been harassing Christopher Daniels to join the Inner Circle for so damn long, and they'll never look back at it. I mean, they'll do a short reference to Christopher Daniels literally being the pecking order of breaking away from SCU, and how many weeks they've been teasing that Christopher Daniels is about to break up with the SCU, join the Dark Order, so they can bring back that Fallen Angel gimmick that he had back in TNA and all that bullcrap. And they completely fallen over because, of course, Luke Harper released from the WWE. And they want to take over with that gimmick because he wants something more smarter for him. So, yeah, you want a backstory on that. That's practically it. So the Exalted One faced off against Christopher Daniels. They still nickname him the Fallen Angel, even though he barely acts like that. He's just SCU. That their gimmick is just nothing's better than Southern California. That's practically it. That's practically it. Best moonsault ever from the top. I think there was a springboard moonsault. The Scorpio Sky and Kazarian came around trying to stop the Dark Order from intervening in the match. Yeah, there was a Kujai clutch in this. Then as soon as Brody Lee, this match ended in a DQ anyway. Everybody started getting involved. We even had some parts of the Elite in this. Then a discus lariat. Christopher Daniels would lose anyway. But yeah, it was kind of basic how the match ended. Everybody was gonna get blown up. I know we're ready for the go home show for the pay per view. For my Bucks, I don't really care if SCU continues to feud with the Dark Order, because I think it's already past its blowing point, because they've been doing this since the fall episodes of last year, and yeah, they built no tension into it, so it doesn't interest me that much. Am I excited to see Jon Moxley against Brody Lee? Yes. Do I think they need a premier authority figure other than we know Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and everybody else have a big role on controlling Dynamite, but they have to do more on the authoritative tales, because that's gonna sell some tickets, and it'll be a more top of the line storyline because it'll involve everybody, and everybody will have their own sort. It's going to be a huge amount of opportunities for everybody to be involved. I'm still excited for Double or Nothing. I'm still going to watch it. But these are just thoughts on what can make AEW bigger. And it can, benefit. Other than trying to reference WWE. Kind of fucked up you guys' career. You're right, but don't drag it. But that's Dynamite. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Matches were all fun. It's good to see MJF's return. But I thought the matches didn't accumulate to anything. There was no consistency. There felt like there was no blow off. The only thing that made this a saving grace for the 5 for the average score was technically just the Pineapple Pete match with Jericho. Just for it existing, not for it. I'm just being light because, Jesus Christ. I have to review SmackDown next, and oh wow. That's going to be a train wreck. And Raw was already a train wreck, so I'm ready for that. Just warning you. Just warning you. But yeah. Thanks for watching the DST show. Comment down below how you felt about Dynamite and your thoughts on Double or Nothing. Subscribe, like the video, share with friends, try to spread the channel out as much as possible. I'm super grateful for 20 subscribers, and thank you for bringing up all the love. I'll try to see if I can get some links over for the previous videos. If you missed a Raw review, if you missed a SmackDown review, pay-per-view review, or at least some sports, I also do. So that's it coming from me.